I got two big juicy stories for XRP holders. One you probably heard about, and it has to do with the SEC case. But the second one is for retail traders. That's right. We're also going to talk about the BTC strategic reserve and using gold in order to buy it. What else do I got for you? We'll talk price action along with...
I say lots of naughty things, so here's your warning.
I see some green up on the screen, and I see some deep green up on the screen for XRP, and it has to do with Torres, the SEC, and what Brad said. Yep, that's right. The case is... We'll talk about it. But before we get into the crypto news, your comments come first because you, the viewer, matter most. Happy Saturday, by the way. You made it to the weekend, and it's time to celebrate. Handle my thing. Love the name, by the way. It says, some cold chamber. That's right. A little bit of big truck for the fans of this is okay. I'm more interested in that right now. Play some Pantera, a whole new level. Thank you, of red. No, it's green today. By the way, maybe a little Pantera walk would be kind of cool. Dude, go full commando on that office chair. Just don't let me see it. Yeah, when it's that hot out, you gotta go full commando. M. Hollywood channel member, thank you for the support, says drunk and probably could have informed you hours ago, but the appeal's dropping. Good night. That's right, we're going to talk about it. Bitcoin sitting at 107,379. XRP deep in the green, up 5% to 219. E2431 a laggard. Yes, indeed. BNB at 647, while Sol's at 146. Let's talk about it. Trump Whitehouse is a new strategy for the BTC strategic reserve, and it involves a lot of gold. That's right, trading in some of those paper profits to buy BTC. Now, here's the deal, though. They want to get into the strategic reserve, but they want to remain budget neutral, which means they're not going to spend new money for it, but they could trade in some of those paper profits. The Trump's administration in BTC is now backed by a strategic vision. The White House sees the cryptocurrency as digital gold and asset with a potential long-term value. Hines, the director of digital assets at White House, has publicly acknowledged BTC's importance in the future. He highlighted the United States government's interest in acquiring a substantial amount. By the way, they've got around 200,000 BTC from all their C stuff. I shared the wallet a few days ago. It's in that video. If you want to find it, you can. To fund these purchases, the government might use existing gold reserves, the paper part of it, a move designed to avoid any additional burden. Essentially, look, they don't want to add any debt. They don't want to sell anything physical. They would use their paper profits to make it happen. But when would they make it happen? Clock's a ticking. Now, here's some good news for XRP holders because this deals with the retail market and some juicy future action. Robinhood introduces micro future contracts for XRP and Sol. Yeah, baby, this could be hot for you. Robinhood has added micro future contracts for XRP and Sol and Bitcoin on Friday. Micro futures are smaller contracts that allow retail and smaller scale investors to speculate or hedge against price action. Nice. The California headquartered trading venue already offered standard futures contracts on its platform, but now the micro one, yes everyone, will allow $2,500 per XRP contract to be traded. Here's the announcement from Robinhood. New crypto futures are on Robinhood. Trade micro, XP, Sol, and Bitcoin Friday futures with lower margin requirements. I like it. Now on to the big stuff. Ripple CEO, that's right, Garlinghouse confirms the end of the SEC lawsuit. So if you looked for a reason or needed a reason to party this weekend, and if you're like me, alone at the home, well, you don't need a reason to party by yourself. You got a reason. That's right, Ripple, SEC, they're both dropping their appeals. Ripple's going to pay the fine. Let's learn, everyone. And if you haven't, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Drop me a like if you like what you're hearing and seeing. Drop me a comment because maybe I'll share it where everyone at the beginning of the next video. After nearly 5 years of litigation, Ripple Labs has decisively stepped away from its legal confrontation with the SEC. A case that has influenced regulatory perspectives on crypto. The initial claim was that the SEC accused Ripple of raising $1.3 billion of unregistered security sales of XRP, but now they only got to pay $125 million. Remember, originally Gary Gensler was asking for a $1 billion penalty. The final fine was $125 million. Both sides wanted a cross appeal. Torres said that ship has sailed. Now Brad is like, fine. we'll pay the penalty and we'll drop both of our appeals if it means we could get this thing over with. And I've been reading the comments, right? Viewer matters most. Majority of you out there in the comments said, pay the fine, move the F on, and that's exactly what Brad did. Let's go to Brad. Here's what he said. And by the way, everything you see in this video and all my other videos, it's linked where everyone in that ball bag down below. Ripple is dropping our cross appeal, and the SEC is expected to drop their appeal, as we've previously said. We're closing the chapter once and for all and focusing on what's important. Building the internet of value, lock in. Stuart Alderati said, with this, the ball is back in our court. The court gave us two options. Dismiss our appeal challenging the finding on historic institutional sales, or press forward with the appeal. So, Brad, XRP, Ripple, they were like, look, let's pay the fine and be done. Best thing they could have done, because this was going to be dragged out for a while. Torres was digging her heels in, not letting anything bend at all. So the case over, they're going to cross the T's, dot their lowercase j's, and once we get the final seal from Torres, once that check is cleared, well, it's already cleared. Why? Because that money was held in escrow. So now we just got to wait for the final stamps of approval, and it is done. Everyone, golf clap. Golf clap. So, will XRP start a roaring? Well, we're going to find out. Volume right now for the crypto market is $80 billion over the last 24 hours. Altcoin season, 21 out of 100. Inflows, yes, we're seeing juicy inflows right now from the bigs. A lot of BTC inflows. XRP specifically at 2.75 billion. That's a very healthy number now over the last 24 hours. The one-day chart looks very healthy, as we've had a low of 208 for XRP, now to 219. I like seeing that. Why are we getting the optimism for XRP? Well, it's obvious. Case closure, right? Now, will that optimism continue? Will XRP keep clawing its way back up through the friend zone into the juicy zone? The 15-minute candlestick tells us everything we need to see, because within the 1 week time period, we've seen everything from $1.90 XRP to $2.30 XRP. But can we claw our way back? Once we get the finalized action, the finalized stamp of approval from Torres, will XRP start right? Because I think a lot of you listening and watching right now would say, hey, Klaus, the reason XRP really hasn't moved is because of the case. So once we get that black veil lifted, we can finally start roaring. Investors will feel comfortable buying into XRP. We can then get the XRP ETFs. If Brad ever wanted to go IPO with Ripple, the SEC would feel more comfortable approving that IPO, because remember, the SEC is the one that approves that stuff. So is this the final thing that we needed lifted in order to get XRP moving? Does XRP really start moving up from here? And that's what we got to wait and see. Once it's official, right, everything is all signed, sealed, and delivered, and Torres gives us her stamp of approval and she gets her ass out of the way, does the market then start giving us its approval of XRP, which is in the form of money? Because that's really what it's all about. We've been wondering if the reason people have stayed away from XRP is because of the court case. And then, hey, if that's the deal and we don't see price movement, then we go like, hey, what the heck, man? What's the excuse now, right? And that's the whole thing. So we got to wait. We got to wait for the final approval from Torres and then see how the market reacts to it. Now, that being said, what about the Robinhood story with a little bit of micro XRP futures? I think some of you might really be interested in that, because some of you really believe in XRP, and that would allow you to do what? Play it both to the positive and to the negative side, right? Because you've seen there are some times there when the market gets to 230 or when the market gets to 250 and you see the big short the hell out of it, and you'd be able to do that. And there's some times too when the market gets to that $1.90 and you can put the futures and go up. You get my point. Now, in terms of the strategic reserve, look, the only way the government is going to get into it, hey, buddy, how are you? You're such a big boy. I know. The only reason, only way the government's going to get into it is if they're budget neutral. Oh, gosh, you are big. And the only way they're going to do that is if what? Is if they cash in on some of those paper profits on gold. But the problem is right now all we're hearing about is the BTC strategic reserve, not the altcoin strategic reserve. So is this a little bit of a bait and switcheroni by the government? Was the government pulling a little bit of retail here and baiting and switching us? Maybe a little catfishing where they post a picture of a profile pic from the neck on up and she looks thin, and then all of a sudden you see her and she's a big beached ass whale? Hopefully not, but I mean the government screwed us over before and hasn't bought us dinner, so we'll see. Either way, that's the crypto news roundup. The market right now is a little bit more in the green, but again, we're in the friend zone where we're at price-wise. Some of our favorites are starting to decline overall from the big juicy price action that we saw of the November, December, January pumps. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We're going to keep an eye on the two bills, right? The Genius Act and the Clarity Act, see how those things get going. I'll let you know when Torres puts her final stamp on things. And that's where we're at. Happy weekend, everyone. I'll keep providing you the updates as they happen. And of course, shoot, bitches.